I see what you mean.
When you have a kiddo that has a whole bunch of energy and is jumping on the couch and running to the balcony and trying to run out the door. And the minute you come in as a BCBA, they're like, oh, I haven't seen you. Come. And can I sit on your lap? And can I touch your computer? And did you bring me a surprise today? How are you going to run this?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay. So
Yeah.
I'm going to look over it. I think we are going to keep it on here, but let's also provide information on how to do it in real life.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Awesome.
I7 use function-based strategies to improve personnel performance.
Okay. To doing the intervention wrong so you can see the mistake so they don't have to speak up. Have your supervisors written down they need help with if they are uncomfortable asking vocally. Does the supervisor use the supervision time to talk about personal stuff? Pair for the first 15 minutes of session with your supervisor and talk about your weekend. Access to tangible. Is your supervisor on the phone a lot? Have your supervisor play physical games with the client. Awesome. But how do you identify these?
Well, I would think the same way that you could identify the functions for the client. You take ABC data.
Awesome. Very good. Okay. You skip escape. Is the supervisee purposely missing session when you're scheduled supervision? What is averse about our supervision? Maybe show up without notifying the supervisee to try to talk to them and how to improve session. Exactly. If your supervisee is skipping supervision, something's up.
Yeah,
Right?
I've actually
There,
had a case where a supervisor actually did that, but it was not just with the current one, with the new BCBA that was taking over, who she hasn't met before. She wanted to skip supervision altogether as well. So
yeah.
I don't know why, but there
Sometimes
shouldn't.
they shouldn't. I know there was a time in Florida or in Miami, there was very common for RBTs to get paid minimum wage for supervision and their regular rate when there wasn't supervision. That's when I had most RBTs cancel supervision or out front tell me, I don't want more than an hour a week.
Yeah, but at the same time, you also have to get that 5% in order for you to keep your credentialing. I understand you're getting paid at a lower rate, but you
But
still
what I'm
need that
saying, that's a
training.
factor. That's a factor you have to take into account. And maybe 1 hour with that kiddo was exactly the 5%. But the problem is that 5% is for you to keep your credentialing. What if the client needs more than 5%, right? So there's a lot of
Hmm.
variables to look into. So I'm saying that if your RBT is canceling on your supervision for it for there's something going up. You need to figure out what's going on. Why have you become aversive? All right. Sensory. Does your supervisee seem anxious during session, tapping their foot on narcissist? At least they take a 5-minute break during session when it's needed. I've told you I had an RBT once cry and I felt so bad.
Cry like out of nowhere?
I took over this case and it was a mess. It was a mess. They didn't do electronic data collection, but there was no data sheets. There
Mm.
was no explanation of how they were running programs. They were running programs that weren't on the treatment plan. They weren't running programs that were on the treatment plan. I couldn't, there was just a lot going on. It was one of those cases where the previous analyst was a psychologist, not a BCABA, not a BCBA.
Mm.
And I'm going through, so the RBT she tried, man. She created her own data sheets and she had data sheets. So I was comparing her data sheets to the plan to see which program she was running, which program she wasn't running. So I was asking her, okay, this program is not on the treatment plan. When was this introduced? Why was it introduced? How are you running it? Okay, this program is missing from the plan. Why is it missing? Was it met? Was it never introduced? I'm asking questions and I'm obviously a little frustrated, but not with her. So I'm like, okay, but how are you running this program? Why are you
Oh
taking data like that?
no.
When this happens, what do you do? Do you mark it correct or incorrect? And I
She
was,
probably got overwhelmed.
yeah, and I was too focused on my papers and figuring out. So I wasn't really looking at her. I was reading through things and asking questions. when all of a sudden I hear her crying and I look up and I'm like, oh my God, why are you crying?
Oh
And I
no.
felt so bad and I was like, please, no, 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 no. She's like, you're mad at me and I'm just trying. I really am trying. It's just that she didn't come often and she didn't tell me and she never gave me data sheets.
Oh
And I was like, okay, relax, 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 relax. You've done amazing. You've done really, really good for what you've gotten. I think it's awesome that you created data sheets. Your data sheets are actually really good data sheets. I like your data sheets. But unfortunately, the other BCBA left the state. I have no way to contact her. Well, the other analyst, because she wasn't a BCBA.
no. Mhm.
So I have to ask you. I have nobody else to ask, right? So I need to
Mhm.
ask you. All I'm trying to do is get information. I'm not accusing you. I'm not anything. I'm sorry if I sound a little frustrated, but it has nothing to do with you. It has everything to do with this is a mess.
Oh no.
So she calmed down. When I left there, I called the owner of the company, and I was like, "Hey, this happened. I feel terrible." She's like, it's okay, relax. I've worked with her for a long time. She has an anxiety issue, and it happens. She cries really easily, but I still
Oh.
felt so bad. I think I went to supervision after that to you, and I asked you if I spoke in a bad way. I don't know if you
Oh,
remember.
I do not, but I
I I asked all my RBTs. I was so traumatized. I was like, do I sound rude? Do I talk to you guys in an ugly tone? Please tell me.
it's just that you're very straightforward. So I guess that could come off like I don't know.
I have
I don't
trauma
know how to
from that
explain it.
experience. Trauma from that experience. So now I never just stick looking at something, even if I'm I'm always looking up. If I'm going to ask a question, I stop looking through what I'm looking. I look up and I make eye contact to make sure I'm not being, accidentally rude.
Yeah.
So
Oh.
yeah.
You did miss one for escape. I didn't I don't know if you noticed the is your supervisor leaving session early often.
Yeah, I read it. I probably just didn't read it aloud. Talk to your
Oh, okay.
supervisee and see what's going on. Have the supervisee pair more with the client or family. Excellent. Also check in what's going on with the family. Sometimes, unfortunately, families are not very nice to our RBTs.
Mm-hmm.
So
Personal
check in.
experience. Yep.
Yep. And just as we advocate for our clients, we need to advocate for our RBTs. All right. Next.
Last one, IA, evaluate the effects of supervision. And these are the effects.
This is where everything gets wrapped up with everything we reviewed. The takeaway for effective supervision is always read the BCBA ethics code, read the handbook, talk to your
Do you want me to
supervisor
add that?
about. Yes, because I get so annoyed. I get so annoyed. Talk to your supervisee about what the expectations are from both parties when supervision is provided. Collect data on your supervisee's performance to see if there is a room for improvement. Review your client's data and progress. Excellent. I actually have to do a competency assessment for an RBT. I love her. She's an amazing RBT. I call her my floater. She's agreed to be my floater. So whenever anyone cancels, I kind of have her cover.
Oh,
I've
okay.
had her pair with a lot of my clients so that she could do this. And basically, when she goes into cover, we just run generalization. So we have to do the competency. And always before the competency, I sit down with them and I competency assessment and I'm like, hey, you do this with your client, so this should be okay. We don't do this with your client, so this is going to be a role play. This is how we're going to role play it. I'm going to check this. I'm going to do this. Da, 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 da. So when it came to the supervision part, she just looks at me and she goes, well, you come and you supervise. I said, I know, but you need to know what percentage of supervision you need a month, how many visits you need. Can it be does it have to be face to face? Can it be over the phone? Can it be telehealth? Does the client have to be present? And she just looked at me and I said, you haven't read the handbook.
This is the one that told you that she did read the handbook.
No, that was
That was a
another one.
different one.
The other one I think was just embarrassed because I told her several times read the handbook. because she was actually studying for the RBT exam. She wasn't an RBT yet. And I think I'd asked her so many times.
I can relate to that from when you asked me, did you watch the video? And I'm like, oh, no, I keep forgetting the video.
And the video helped.
No,
The video
that one
helped.
didn't help.
It helped me and it
For
helped
you,
you.
yes. For me, I'm more of give me examples and visuals in order for me to get it. That's how I learn.
Well, we got somewhere. All right, this was really good. I don't think you have a lot of changes, do you?
No,
Or did
I
you make them as we went?
make them as we went. The only thing is
Amazing.
for slide 16, I just have to provide more examples about the reinforcement system.
All right, excellent. Fabulous. Anything else?
Nope, that is it.